Hey, what's good, everyone? Audiolytic Mac back with another video. Now, in this video, right, I'm going to discuss why I never bought an MPC XL. I'm going to give you the answer specifically on why I didn't buy one. Now, as you can see here, I have an MPC X, right? An MPC X. Now, I haven't really used this thing. And the main reason why I haven't used it is because I had issues with the RAM. Now, when I try to add plugins to this thing, because it's really a hardware machine like a computer that you add software to it, right? Like plugins and stuff like that. Now, when I added plugins to this thing, right, I kept getting issues of freezing up and and it just wasn't a fun experience. So that's why I never really attempted to press the issue on playing this particular piece of gear. But I started thinking, right, what makes this MPCX or the MPC XL or any other lower tier models so special? What's the difference between this and just having a computer, a DAW, and an interface, right? So we'll go ahead and explore this a little more. This is the Sweetwater website right here. Now, Sweetwater is one of the companies that I buy a lot of my gear from. Now, and as you can see here, here's the Akai Professional MPC XL standalone music production center. And here are a couple of little images right here where you can, check out the gear from each side right here. And the price, $2,899. That's pretty steep, after taxes. That's a little over $3,000, right? And I just wasn't, after my experience with the MPCX, I was just not motivated to buy this thing because I was thinking, what is the difference between buying a DAW, a computer, and an interface, right? Which is cheaper, and plus I can do a whole lot more with that combination than just spending $3,000 for a machine where the RAM would just clunk out on me if I add plugins to it. So in this video, we're gonna try to break down comparisons between having a computer, an interface, and a DAW versus having an MPC XL. And we're gonna see which is the best solution, right, when it comes to your music production needs. Stay tuned. Now, the DAW I'm going to use for this demonstration is FL Studio. Now, there are many other DAWs out there that producers could use, like Studio One, Pro Tools, for example, and even Ableton or Apple Logic, right? But I'm going to use FL Studio because FL Studio seemingly is the most popular DAW around. I mean, a lot of people use this DAW, and especially a lot of prominent artists uses this DAW. So I'm going to use FL Studio, for example, right? Now, we're going to scroll a little bit, check out the website, and we're going to look at the prices, right? We have rent to own, right? Fruity Edition. But we're going to go to buy, right? Here's a license you can purchase, right? Now, the producer edition, now the Fruity Edition right here, right, is only $99. Now, the producer edition, which is considered the most popular, is only $179, right? And then you have the signature bundle for $269. And then you have the all plugins edition. This is the one I have, and it's only $449. Now, that's a steal. You know what I'm saying? That's a good price because you get a lifetime FL Studio license plus 118 instruments and effects includes audio recording and stem separation. And you get 1 million extra sounds free for 3 months. Extra sounds now, free. Remember what I discussed about these fake phony drum kits and recycled drum kits that many of these content creators are selling, right? Well, you get 1 million extra sounds for free, and FL Studio comes with a plethora of drum kits that you can use for your productions. Friends and family, I'm back on the Sweetwater website, right? Because now we have a DAW, right? That's very inexpensive, maybe around $450, right? And you come up with all types of sounds that you can use for your production, right? And you know, it's something that's very popular among producers right now. Now, I'm on Sweetwater again, as I stated previously, and now we need an interface, right? An audio interface. So when we upload our DAW to our computer, we can hear the sounds, we can do some recording, and we can listen to the tracks that we produced, right? So for this example, right, there are plenty of audio interfaces out there, some ranging as low as $300 and some as high as $10,000, if could you believe it. But we're going to go with the more medial, inexpensive approach where you can get quality sound for a lot less money. So I'm going to choose this Black Lion Audio Revolution right here, 14 by 16 USB audio interface, right? Now here is the couple of images here. Now you have like 4 inputs and I believe 8 outputs right here. So it's quite a versatile machine here. And of course you can get audio interfaces with 8 outputs and 8 ins. That's no problem. You know, you can have universal audio, but those are a little more pricier, like around $3,000. So I'm trying to stick to the most inexpensive option that can satisfy your production needs. So now this is $1,299, probably around $1,400 if you add taxes to it. And the beauty of this machine, right, is that you got 4 inputs and you got the outputs, right? And you got mic pre's also as well. So this is a great unit to have as an interface, you know, for, you know, studio production, right? And this is where the question comes into play, right? Now you have a computer, right? You're going to need a computer, even if you have an MPC XL, because you got to have something to record what you create on the MPC XL, right? So my thing is this, right? What do you think has the best sound quality? Do you think the converters of the MPC XL has better sound quality than the Black Lion Audio? Now, the reason why I bring that up is because if you think about it, those MPCs of today are no different than the audio interface in the DAW. Maybe just a laptop computer. But the fatal flaw, if you think about it, is that the laptop computer can max out on RAM and memory. The MPC XL, on the other hand, doesn't come with that feature, right? And as I stated previously, you add plugins to that machine and you would just go have a nightmare with buffering and RAM issues that will slow down your production. Pretty much all you can do on that machine, basically, to have a fun experience is just sample, and that's it. But yet, the company In Music, right? And I'm going to show you In Music right now. Now, this is In Music. Now, this company recently in the news just purchased Native Instruments, right? Another software company that had hardware that you could say is actually a laptop computer as well. But this company purchased Native Instruments, and they also own Akai, right? Akai is the company that manufactures the MPC XL, right? Yeah. Now we're going to skim through their website right here, and there's Akai Professional right there, and a list of all other companies that's under their umbrella, right? So we're going to see if we can select the Akai Professional here, and as you see here, you got MPC Sample, and MPC Live 2, trending products, the MPC XL, other products, MPC series, right? And so forth, right? You have all these various models. And then, of course, Native Instruments. Now, this is key right here. When you see this image right here, right? Now, you can add plugins to this machine. And as I stated earlier, unlike a computer or a DAW, right? You're going to come with some issues when you add plugins to this machine, right? But you got to expect, right? You're spending $3,000 for this, $3,000. Then the plugins, right? You would have to spend even more money to add that to the machine. When FL Studio, on the other hand, is less than $500, and you have a plethora of plugins already available for the DAW. Right in the DAW. So you spending what, $3,000 plus to purchase additional plugins for the machine when FL Studio already has a plethora of plugins for just $500, right? Under $500. And plus, as I stated previously, right? As I stated previously, right? The audio interface, right, has an output and input. You can get 8 outputs, some you can get 16. And you will need an audio interface anyway, even if you buy an MPC XL, because you got to have something, right, to capture the sound of the MPC XL. So one thing is given here, right? Even if you buy a DAW, right, or an MPC XL, you will need a computer and an audio interface anyway. Do you understand? So you have a DAW, right, which you upload to the computer, less than $500 with all the sounds you need to make a song, versus an MPC XL, right? An MPC XL, which is $3,000, plus you got to spend extra money for the plugins. And then when you add the plugins, you will acquire RAM issues when you start adding plugins and playing these tracks. So basically, you would need to sample in this thing to keep the memory load low. Do you understand? Now, that's not a happy experience if you're a producer when it comes to workflow, because the common theme here is workflow, right? That's the common theme. But check this out. Now, the same company, Image Line now, that makes FL Studio, they're in partnership with Novation, and they have their own MIDI controller. Now, one may ask, what is a MIDI controller? Well, as you can see here, a MIDI controller is pretty much similar to a keyboard, right? But it controls, it sends and receives MIDI information, right, through your interface or your computer to your DAW. So you can be able to play notes and manipulate parameters in your DAW from MIDI, right? And right here we have the Novation FL Key 61 keyboard controller for FL Studio. Now I'm going to go through the images right here so you can see. As you can see here, you have pads, just like the MPC has pads. This device has pads, but unlike the MPC XL, it has keys, and it has also parameters where you can manipulate, right? Knobs and everything, and it has modulation and pitch control as well. Now I'm going to keep scrolling and let you check out everything right here. And this is just one version of a MIDI controller. There are plenty of MIDI controllers out there for sale that you could buy, but I chose this one for an example, simply because of the price. Only $299. That's $300 plus tax, right? And but if you go back to the MPC XL, that has no keys at all, no keys, right? It has pads and everything else, but it has no keys, and it's also MIDI too. It's $3,000, right? Versus $299. So let's do the math real quick, right? Let's do the math. Now, let's do the math here. Now, a MIDI controller, right? Roughly $300 plus a DAW, FL Studio as an example, $499. Then you have an audio interface, right, of $1,400. And the total of all three is $2,200 versus an MPC XL around $3,000. That's a savings of $800. Now, keep in mind, say for instance, this is your first time buying any pro audio equipment and you're interested in buying an MPC XL and you don't have a computer, right, or an interface. Guess what? Not only will you be spending $3,000 for the MPC XL, you will also be spending $1,400, right? $1,400 for audio interface, which is $4,400. Do you understand? Right? Do you understand? Because you're going to have a computer anyway, no matter if you have an MPC XL or you plan on creating music using the DAW. Now, this is a Reddit thread right here and some other information from research, right? Now, according to this information, an audio interface will generally have better, more transparent converters than the MPC XL. While modern MPCs features high-quality components suited for standalone beat making, dedicated audio interfaces are built purely around superior analog to digital A to D and digital to analog D to A conversion. The evidence is clear. An audio interface has way better converters than the MPC XL. So that would leave one to ponder the thought, why buy your MPC XL or any of these newer MPCs when you can pretty much do the same and even more in a DAW? Well, that's a question that the consumer must ask themselves. But me personally, the evidence is clear. That's why I didn't buy an MPC XL. I can do the same thing and even more in FL Studio or even any other digital audio workstation. Plus, I have multiple computers and multiple audio workstations. Therefore, I can make a beat in FL Studio and route the output of that beat into another interface. And I guarantee you, the sound quality will be a whole lot better. And plus the workflow will be a whole lot better because I won't have to worry about RAM issues or storage issues because my laptop is maxed out. So I won't have any of those problems on either laptop or either desktop. So that's why I didn't buy an MPC XL, because it simply didn't make any sense. With the DAW, I can do a whole lot more with it. And making music is just so simple and easy and fast. So for those who may consider, right, changing from an MPC XL or selling their MPC XL just because of that fact, that's your prerogative. But for me, I think I will never, ever buy any of these MPCs because they're just, why? But that could change. Maybe In Music could make a newer MPC that has the same power and conversion as an audio interface and the same power and speed and capabilities as your favorite laptop. So let's stay tuned and see what InMusic has to offer. I'm not, going to throw the towel on them yet. They may have something in the future that could alleviate or change that perspective. Well, this is Audiolithic Mac. That's all I have for you today. And stay tuned for the next video. And free drum kits are still coming. Tuesday, I'm going to create another video and share it later on today. So I'm going to give you my email address so you can email me, and I will email you back a free drum kit, because there is no reason why you should be blowing your money on recycled drums that a lot of these people are just picking and plucking from other kits. So you should be able to keep that money in your pocket. And that's what I believe. Don't get conned like me, right? I'm trying to make it where all of you, right, will have a very warm and safe and cost-friendly music production journey. Take care, Audiolithic Mac, and I will be back with another video. Stay blessed.